Hello, happy Tuesday there, train chums. Welcome to Railfan TV. I'm joined this evening by Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hey, good to see you again.
Don't mess with your microphone. It was working perfectly beforehand. You don't need to mute. Just leave it alone. I've got all the buttons. I have them all. Anyway, we're here to talk about the brand new update to the roadmap, which came out this afternoon. If you haven't seen it already, head yourself over there to what's it called, trainsimworld.com, and head to the news, and you will see the new update to the roadmap. And hopefully you've noticed that things have moved on. But we'll be covering what has and hasn't moved on, and all of that kind of business. So first off, Adam, while I get this service underway, we're going to Duisburg. So I'm just going to I'll press some buttons on here. You tell everybody what's happening.
Basically, yeah, we've started to bring stuff in that I've been looking at. We've got some great movement on hiring of staff, and things are starting to get underway. So yeah, we're now getting into that groove of what are people interested in, what do people want to see change, and how do we go about updating this roadmap. So yeah, it's going really good. Really pleased.
That's good. When you say you're hiring staff, for what? For those who weren't here last time you were here, what have we? What's happening?
So we have right off the bat, we have hired another vehicle artist, and this person will be responsible for looking at more compatibility with the livery editor. So we're looking at what stock we're going to update, and because that's been a big piece of feedback that we've had. So yeah, we've got that person starting pretty soon, and we are hiring for an additional 2 other places at the moment. It is undecided what resources we're going to go for, but we're looking at all CVs coming in. So yeah, we've now got a team of 2, who I believe our first guy will be starting next week.
Nice. And what's this team for? That's kind of what I was angling at there. What is your team, Adam? Who do you are, and what are you doing?
So I think we're getting closer to deciding it's the preservation crew, and what we're going to be doing is looking back at our previous releases, anything that has come out prior to TSW2, and making sure that the routes work as expected, that everyone can play them to their best ability, and if there's any major feedback that we need to be worrying about, we will be looking at it. And then over time, obviously, we'll start putting in what we're doing on the roadmap, and bringing out additional things like more livery editor compatibility, and another one. Not committing to this, but another one that a lot of people are really interested in is the departure boards from Bakerloo appearing on more routes. So yeah, we're looking at that.
Passenger information screens, we call them.
Passenger information screens. So my job is to service the previous releases and make sure everyone is enjoying them as much as they should be.
All right, hold on. Look, I almost nailed this, but I can't find a flipping light switch. Where did I leave the lights?
The main lights are in front of you, right there in front of you.
Yeah, I thought so too. Oh no, there we go. I have done them. All right, okay, let's push on. I'm a bit late behind. I'm behind service. Right, okie doke. So let's talk about the stuff that is in next update, because next update we don't have a date on it yet. But what does that mean if something lives in next update or next release? Sorry.
Mostly it means that the work has near enough been completed now, so it's locked in, and this is where it moves over to QA and testing and beta testers and forums and things, where we can get feedback that we have delivered what we said we were going to deliver, and scheduling in with console updates as well. On PC and with Steam, we have a really good relationship with how we go about releasing content.
Well, it's also that they don't have to go quite so much through platform QA.
Yes.
On Steam, they let you release any old thing without too much validation first.
Yeah, it does mean that the responsibility is a lot heavier on us. But then on console, you do have to book a slot. You do have to
Right.
join the queue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on console. So yeah, we need to start scheduling. So the next arrival is stuff that is now locked in. We're really confident about it. And it's now out of our hands for somebody else to release.
If you're noticing Adam's camera being a little bit out of the sync at the moment, that's on me. That's not you. That's me. My PC has decided that now is the time that it should be having system interrupts galore, which is really, really helpful. It will settle down in a moment, and then he'll be resynchronized again. Sorry, Adam. It's worth pointing out. Otherwise, everyone will go, "He's out of sync. What's going on there?" So, what do we have lined up in the next release that we've got on deck at the moment?
So the next 3 routes to join the Preserve Collection are the Long Island Railroad, Ruhr Nord, and Tees Valley Line. So that's across our 3 major geographic regions, which is pretty awesome. But also supporting those routes, we have the M3 electric multiple unit, the Class 20 and Class 31 diesel locomotives, and the BR155 electric locomotive.
So these are all Preserved Collection, obviously.
Yes, yeah, that is the bulk of this release.
Now, several people have noticed that actually there are some fixes going into these Preserved Collection routes as well. Talk me through this. What does that mean? And why are the fixes lower down than the releases? Surely you would do them all at the same time.
So yeah, the releases did spark the fixes to this stuff. We went out and looked at the forums. We looked at feedback. We looked at the Kayaku system and what players were telling us about, and that's what pointed us towards, okay, these other things need some attention as well. But in terms of why they're separated on the roadmap, that's partly down to just getting used to this process. Right. So where the content was ready to go, but the fixes were working to a different timeline, that's where we potentially missed the boat on it's got to go in for console on this particular date. So yeah, at the moment we're just getting used to the process of how the releases work.
So, I mean, there is, though, a good chance that both release at the same time, right? So the fixes are finished at the same time that the update actually goes out, because presumably it takes a heck of a lot less time for a fix to get through the kind of the development process than it does for a Preserved Collection route.
That's 100% true. However, the routes and the trains are baked and built and sent to, say, Microsoft and Sony in one go. So if the fix is not in the version that gets sent to them, then it isn't being tested by them. So right, I'm still getting used to that.
As a separate release. Or as, I mean, it could end up being a day one release alongside the Preserved Collection coming out.
It may be, but we do try to limit the number of updates we do. We don't want people turning on their consoles or loading up Steam every day and getting another update. So we try and limit how frequently we update.
Okay, we will be answering a few questions from the chat as soon as my chat starts behaving. At the moment, it is not scrolling at all, which is deeply, deeply unhelpful, and now my phone's talking to me. It's all go here. It occurred to me before we started this evening that I was trying to multitask far too many things today, but it happens. Right, okay, so what are you most excited about that we've got kind of coming up at the moment?
A lot of Tees Valley stuff, actually, because of the Class 31 and the Class 20 that are coming with it. I'm a big fan of that older content, that older routes and trains, and being able to use a simulator to experience something that you can't do in real life. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to bringing Tees Valley back into the fold.
And what are you going to take and drive first somewhere where it shouldn't be?
I want to play with the 166 on Tees Valley.
Okay.
And I want to see all the awesome liveries that everyone wants to make in that content as well.
No, I've just stuck the emergency brake on. Hey, it's life. No, it's all good. No, see, I'm trying to do too many things. I should have just recorded a video of me doing this perfectly earlier on, and I could fake that I'm controlling it live. But no, well, never mind. Right, let's have a look and see what sort of questions we've got going on. Is the first update still weeks away, or are we talking days? I'm answering that one, Adam, because I'm not letting you do it. As we already said, we try and limit the number of updates that we do, purely because of the amount of time it takes to get them ready and prepped to go out on console. Now, it's not so much that console is holding us back. Instead, what we try and do is pack as much as we can into a single update before putting it out, because we then have to queue to get stuff released. And we want to make sure that everybody's got the same thing at the same time, so that everybody's talking about the same. Oh, I played on Tees Valley Line last night. Oh, I played on XYZ, and everyone's talking about the same game version. So we try and package as much up together as possible. Will we see the update in the next few days? Unlikely. Will we see it in the next few weeks? Quite likely. How long's a few weeks? Not telling you. There are many moving targets that we've got in there, and part of the roadmap design that we've gone for is to enable you to know where we're up to. So obviously, if nothing has moved by the next time we do a roadmap update in 2 weeks' time, you can then ask questions. Well, why not? In fact, you won't even need to ask a question. We'll answer that straight away. We'll go, come on, what's the hold up? What are we waiting for? And on the subject of
everyone would have to be on holiday for that to happen. I really hope that never ever happens.
Developers aren't allowed to go on holiday, you know that.
Yes.
So, on which note, absent from the list this time round, I mean, we've been collating your feedback since the game came out, and we've put together a list of, I don't know, 50, 100 different bits and pieces that you'd like addressing. Some clearly more important than others, but not all of them have been added to the roadmap. So what's our priority in terms of what are we going to be addressing first when it comes to player feedback?
First and foremost, absolutely number one priority is making sure the game works for everyone.
Yeah.
And making sure the routes and the trains can be played. That is number one. Our next priority beyond that is that scenarios and services can be completed. It's no good having the content if then you go through all that effort, you play for hours, and it doesn't complete for you, or some annoying error comes up right at the end. That is pretty much a killer. And then finally, on the top three, is that after all that hard effort and work, that achievements will ping, the achievements will work, they'll fire. So that your effort is rewarded.
Yeah. Now, some people don't care about achievements, of course, but for those who do, if you put in a couple of hours trying to achieve something and then it doesn't work properly, that's not really good enough. So we want to make sure that works. Very good, Adam. We ran through this list last week, and you've recited it almost from memory, if I hadn't written it down for you. No, very good.
Oh, well, some people say they don't like achievements, but yeah. I think deep down, driving a service or operating a locomotive, it's still an achievement, whether it's displayed in a menu or with a shiny graphic. So achievements can actually be a bit of a vague word. We want to make sure that you feel happy about how much you've played. Yeah,
no, I completely agree with that. And actually, I found out today that we missed something off the list.
No way.
Yeah. And it's not just missed off the list, it's missed off the list quite imminently as well. So we've got no details for you right now, but the fix for PS4 livery, is it Livery Designer or Scenario Planner problems, is pretty much done.
Yes, I think it's the livery editor.
Okay, so we'll get some more details for you on that, along with how quickly it's coming out, because that's a biggie on the PS4, and so we wanted to fix that as quickly as possible, and it is about ready.
I think actually in planning that's the one marked as out of memory reports under investigation. So there are 4 items under investigation where we've probably been a bit vague with what we're investigating.
Okay, right. I'm going to talk some chat here, because my chat's finally caught up again. Oh, and immediately stopped working again. Thanks for that. So I saw a question. I can't see who it's from, but can we play TSW 2020 routes in TSW2? Yes, that's what the Preserved Collection is all about. Is bringing forward your routes from TSW 2020 and bringing them into TSW2. They're all coming over, but not straight away, apart from Northeast Corridor, which has a long sordid tail attached to it. And if you head to the forums, there's an FAQ that will spell that out for you. But they're coming in a phased fashion. If you look at the roadmap, it will show you what's coming next. And then, yes, you will be able to play those routes, and using the scenario planner, you'll be able to put anything you like anywhere you like. If you want to just be limited to trains, locos, what have you, that are specific to that region, you can, or you can play, with more or less anything on more or less any route, if that's what floats your boat. So yes, that's what's happening with the routes from TSW 2020. Looking at the next question, we got: how do you access the logbook? Adam, do you know?
No, I don't. This is a new feature that is coming to TSW, so it's actually out of my remit. My remit is only to look at what you've already released, so that actually doesn't cross my desk.
While that's a nice answer, it has already been released. All you can say is it's a Dovetail Live feature, and therefore you didn't make it. There you go.
So yeah, not in the software. So I do focus on the software directly. Yeah.
You can access your logbook by visiting Dovetail Live and clicking on your profile, and it's in there next to your photo collection, album, whatever it's called, type thing. What's it called? Rail fan snaps or rail shots or some. I should know this, really.
I should too, by the sounds of it.
But then again, it's a Dovetail Live feature, and I didn't work on that. Yeah, so I'm going to try that and see how it happens. Although I'm supposedly the Ministry of Information, so that's poor information on my part. It is a little erratic. Logbook is a little erratic at the moment, purely because it's handling more information coming in than was expected. So it is a little bit up and down, but it does work. There you go. That's the latest I have there, and it's improving most of the time. Sean's asked whether TSW 2020 locos will ever be compatible with the Livery Designer. Ever is a very long time, but right now they don't, and there is no plan to make them compatible. So your TSW 2020 locos are as is, basically, with a little bit of extra adhesion thrown in for fun, just because, who doesn't love a bit of extra adhesion? Next, will the Canadian National Oakville subdivision be available in Train Sim World 2? Yes. Right, okay. Sorry, I could have given you that. That was an easy one. I mean, I cherry pick the easy
I'm allowed to
ones
say yes and no.
for myself. If you've got a chat in front of you, feel free to pick ones that you think are quite interesting. Otherwise, I'll pick ones that are quite interesting, answer them myself, and you can sit there and nod occasionally.
Well, I did see one that was the mention of Bakerloo line formation expansion further down the list.
What does that mean?
So people were saying, how exactly is that going to be the case when the train is pretty much fixed, 7 cars? And yes, it is a very small fix, but currently you can only pick whether it is loaded, I believe. And what we have done is we've given you an unloaded version as well. So if you want to start your scenario in one of the 3 depots, you can actually start it empty, which I think people would enjoy.
Oh, so you can start an empty train. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It is a small formation expansion, but it is an expansion nonetheless.
All right. Okay. So that sounds maybe a little bit more highfalutin than it actually is, but that is something that has been quite regularly requested. So all right, I'll allow it. No. Okay. That's fine. Is there going to be any change to sound? The question was Bakerloo sound, but let's talk sound generally. Are there any plans for changes to sound in the future?
There are no plans at this time, but
Good
we are
man.
taking input, we are taking information, we are reading customer feedback, and we'll have a look. But at the moment, there are no plans.
Yeah. Mike is yelling at me through the chat. It's called Rail Fan Shots, and that I should know that. Sorry, rail shots. I was close. I wasn't 1,000 miles away from it. Yeah. So
what it does say is that you should be posting your feedback. You should be letting us know. You should be keeping us informed. Not just in the chat here. I am noting stuff down that I see people talking about for later investigation. But if you have an issue, do post it on the forum. Sam, I think you mentioned at one point whether you were interested in there being 3 separate platform forums or whether you wanted one. Have you got any news on that at all?
Flipping out, you're asking me questions. Yeah, no, I think once we're out of this initial phase, I'll probably I'll probably blend the forums together, but use tagging for anything that is platform specific. After all, we are trying to keep the platforms as equal as possible, and therefore having everybody sharing their conversations in one place kind of makes sense. And to be honest, it's not uncommon that you see a PlayStation player hanging out in the PC forum or a PC player hanging out in the Xbox forum. It happens anyway, and all we get right now is a lot of duplicated messages. So by merging them together, we can hopefully get some slightly larger conversations. I wasn't expecting to finish there, you know. And I got a silver, even after hosing it. You've got a question. Danny's got a question about immersion controls on preserved collection scenarios. Apparently, at the moment, immersion control not so much on preserved collection.
So this is because that content was built expecting the controls to be in a particular arrangement, expecting particular buttons to do particular functions, and the safest option, rather than to change everything that people knew and the way they played, was to leave it as is, and we'll review going forward. So again, it's all about customer feedback. If you want us to look into that and compatibility and things, then let us know. Okay. Otherwise, it will stay as is.
All right, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, basically we need it to work first and foremost, and therefore not adding in the extra complexity of multiple control scheme options makes all the difference, because the players are the important thing, and the ability to play the game is what matters first and foremost. Later on, we can look at other options, but we just want it to work in this first instance.
And that's why we have the preserved crew. That's what my team is going to be doing. If that is if there's a strong customer feedback, then we'll start to look at that.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Is there any chance we could release new liveries for preserved collection, seeing as you can't edit them? Again, as with all things preserved collection, there is no plan to do anything more with it other than make it playable in the new game. Now, we know that some people's favourite trains happen to live in the preserved collection. I bet I've got to turn the power on first, haven't I? All right, you talk, I'll drive. Go on, carry on.
So yeah.
Where was I going with that? You figure it out.
Obviously, we're going to be bringing over the preserved collection stuff, and yes, it is about preserving it, not changing it. So, if we were to bring out new liveries or suddenly expand that packet in some way, then that could well be a problem for anybody that already has it, anybody that enjoys it. Or, you know, we go through a lot of effort to get our liveries licensed and to get them approved by the operators. So we would be adding that complexity where, first and foremost, what we want to do is make sure that you've got the content, you've got the routes and the trains that you love to play, and you've got them as soon as possible, really.
Yeah. And that's the thing that matters most. BT asks, when will the next roadmap be put into routes and released? I don't understand the question. The roadmap is updated every 2 weeks, so that's when we will be. That's when we'll next be updating it. But we've only just updated it today, so you know, there you are. What else have we got on the go in the chat here? In Great Western Express, will it be the same as it is in TSW 2020? Very minor changes, but those minor changes are all TSW2 related. So you'll get some slight changes to the way that the physics work. You'll get some slight changes to the way that the lighting is working. But fundamentally, it's exactly the same as you know it and love it already. So yeah, that's about the size of it. When is the next game update? When it's ready.
Yes, that's not something that we control, so we have to hand it over to our lords and masters to arrange that for us.
No, we easy now, easy. We coordinate very carefully internally to make sure we've got in as much as possible.
No, I
We
I
then
shove it
work
in, I squash it. I'm like, I want more. No, I'm pushing it through, and they're like, we'll coordinate it.
And then they coordinate with our beloved platform partners.
Correct.
Thank you, Adam. Cry out loud. I used to run a tight ship. Matt's not this difficult. Crying out loud.
Too excitable.
Did we have W.H. Smith and Pumpkin branding in Great Western Express?
I believe we did, yes, because it was on Reading Station.
Interesting. Is that coming back? Because apparently it's gone again.
So
you don't know, do you? Do you know?
Well, I know the arrangement that we're allowed. So if the branding is static and we're not advertising that, hey, come and play Pumpkin games and stuff like that, then if it's static and it represents the route, then it's acceptable to be in place. Now that is limited. We do still need to get approval for each livery or each brand that we include in our routes or trains.
Right.
But if it is static, it should be there. I do not know of a reason why it would have been taken away, but I can look into that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. I mean, I think that's more of a curiosity than a deal breaker of some description, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. Will the game engine be upgraded to officially utilise DirectX 12? No, never. It's not going to happen. Over my dead body. DirectX 12 is the most evil thing on the planet and must be stopped at all costs. We're not upgraded to DirectX 12 in the short term. See, that was the fake answer. Now I'm giving you the real one. We're not upgrading to it in the short term. DirectX 11 is serving us perfectly nicely. Thank you very much. Also, there's a lot of work involved in upgrading DirectX versions. It is not a small piece of work, and such was the amount of work that went into the Unreal Engine change that we've just done, that we don't want to be doing that again anytime soon. I'm not a developer, so I don't know, but it is a massive hassle, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's no small piece of work.
Yeah.
I saw somebody mention, why can we not use double formations on stock in Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr, and that is, I'm just checking on the roadmap. That is on my radar. That we're doing that, so you can do 4-car and 8-car versions. I'm pretty sure I did put it on there, but yeah, it's down there. It's under in production.
Right.
So yeah, expansion of formations, absolutely.
There's a good question that came up. We're going to bounce around the questions a little bit because there's no kind of general theme going on other than the game as a whole. And I almost forgot it. Hang on. Have I still got it in my brain, or am I going to have to scroll up and potentially break the thing that's just started scrolling again? It was... Nope, lost it. No, I did. It'll come back because I'm sure people will repeat their questions. They usually do. And I'll clock it next time. My apologies. Your name began with S. The Out Now video has corrupt footage. Yeah, we know. And the T-Boy is aware of it. Was made aware earlier today and should be refusing to serve tea to those responsible, I'm sure. Will we be adding patches in the preserved collections? We have got some fixes lined up already, right, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you check the roadmap, there are some on there. I would hope that over time, what is listed as a fix or an improvement increases. However, and I think this discussion also occurred on the forums, we're not settled yet on just how much. I mean, will we let the roadmap get into like hundreds of items, or
Yes.
will we start grouping stuff?
No. We'll let it get into hundreds of items, but I think where we start, if we decide to start clumping stuff together, then there will be a separate kind of big long list. Let's cross that bridge when we hopefully come to it, because we want to put as much on that list as possible, right?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I didn't know whether it would just get too unwieldy at all, but yeah.
Right.
Well,
Okay,
I mean,
that's
we
the
have
one.
the list.
That's
we
the
have
question.
The list, so.
It's Silberfeld's question, which is, could we make it possible so that scenarios don't start the instant you get on the train? So the instant it loads, it kicks off straight away. This was a piece of feedback we had before. It's actually pretty tricky to pull that off. Harder than you might expect, in fact. So it is something we've heard, and it's something that I know Matt's looking into, so that you've got a bit of setup time before the scenario actually kicks off. Would be most welcome. And I think the same would certainly be true in the scenario planner, right? Is you'd have one which is, you've got 10 minutes before you're... no, wrong way. Hold on. I've got to stop. Hold on, wait. I'm on it. It's going to be fine.
Throw the anchor out.
It's okay. No, don't need the anchor. It's all good. Look at that. Flipping flawless. See? That's bang on, that is.
That's knowing how to drive a train.
Yes, it's already on Matt's list, and when it comes to the scenario planner, we've got a ton more stuff that we want to do with it. There is a feedback thread you can get involved in over on the forums. Get your feedback in. We've already collected up. In fact, I should round that thread up for now, because we've already collected up the livery editor feedback that you've given, and that's under consideration right now. I've seen a few mails about that going around today. So
yeah, we have reviewed it.
What's already in development as far as changes for the livery editor?
I can't actually say because I need to get in contact with the people who are working on it. Again, this would be
I know some
new
stuff that's in there.
Yeah,
there's some safe stuff that I've mentioned before.
And that was part of my review today. So, so yeah, people are not sharing that information with me, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, good. But we have got a good length wish list of new functionality for liveries, and that's being reviewed because we've already got a couple of extra tools that have been done, and those include. You ready, Adam? Do you want to know what the couple of extra tools are? So first off, it's hex codes for colours.
I like that one. I wanted that one as well.
Yep. We don't know if that includes palettes or not. I don't know that, but it includes hex codes, so you can at least colour match from side to side. Mirroring is included, so you can flip your thing around the other way, your layer around the other way. And there are some. This is a bit vague. There are some extra transparency tools. Yeah. Ensor42 says, can the roadmap get a changes section with each update so that we can see the changes at a glance without having to wade through the whole thing, please? But surely wading through the whole thing is the level of granularity that you folks love. Yes, we'll do that.
Sam puts a lot of effort into this list. He doesn't want you to skip to the end.
No, the whole point of the list is it's what's true now, right? What has come before is now inaccurate. This is now true. Now, if you want to go into levels of granularity, what we'll always do proactively, though, and yeah, we will list changes, but what we'll always do proactively is if something disappears from the list and it hasn't been released, we'll tell you why. Because if we don't, I imagine there'll be roughly 6.5 minutes before someone goes, this has disappeared from the list and it hasn't been released. We'll always tell you why. Even if that reason is quite flimsy, which it may be on occasions, we couldn't make it work, we decided against it, that kind of stuff, we will always address when stuff goes AWOL from the list. Maybe mark the changes in a different colour. I don't know, that's Mike the T-Boy's team and their responsibility to make web pages different colours and stuff. I'd have to take it up with him. But yeah, that kind of thing, we might do a what's changed section in there as well. So you know whether stuff's moved up or moved down or been released or what have you. Not unreasonable.
It's going to start looking like Top of the Pops chart at that point.
I've got no problem with that. Also, you recognising Top of the Pops makes you very old. And I'm just saying. And I'm very old, so it's allowed. What has been achieved in Roadmap 1? Has anything in Roadmap 1 come off because it wasn't completed but was taken over by a new feature in the list? Great question. Nothing has been taken off. We've held up the Livery Designer changes to put more in. The only things that have come off the list entirely are bits that have been released.
I might caveat that with I changed the name of some things.
Oh, did you? What did you change?
Yes. So it was listed as a fix or an improvement. I think it was the Bakerloo line expansion of services. I changed that to an improvement. It was listed as an upgrade or something like that.
Well, it is an upgrade.
But I will refrain from doing that in the future, because I can see that would look like we've added something new, and it would look like something might have disappeared.
You've got to keep the language the same, man.
Yes, I realise that.
It's all important, because otherwise people will say, oh, they're doing something exciting, when actually it's the same old boring thing we were doing last time. And basically,
nothing is boring.
No.
You can't say that. My whole team is based around this. You can't say we're doing anything boring.
Basically, as soon as Matt is back off his holiday, I'm going to start scowling at him and going, more Bakerloo line services, Matt. Because Matt is pretty much the only person who does timetabling. And,
well, there are a few others, but yeah.
Well, he's the one who's been tasked with making the Bakerloo timetable not quite as skinny as it is at the moment. So that'll be. Oh, there's Matt in the chat. Matt's in the chat. He's on holiday and he's here anyway. Matt,
Busman's holiday.
Go do something else. Go play with your train set. Crying out loud. Yeah. Oh no. Was that Cheggers plays Pop and Mike Reed's Runaround? Don't. Adam won't remember that. He did say he was waiting for the engineering team. He is, because the engineering team have got to do something very, very cunning in order to make it work.
Yes, I mean, we certainly get to the point where if Matt can't fix it or Matt can't make it work, then no one can make it work. So.
And the reason that it's complicated, you know, you kind of go, well, it works in the real world. Why doesn't it work in this digital perfection simulation system? And it's because you've got humans in the real world.
Yes. There are humans doing things, and we have to come up with technology that does it in place of humans.
That can make decisions. You know, the humans will readily solve. I might have to chuck the anchor out the back for this one. The humans will readily solve. Yeah, go on. All the beans. Thank you. Will solve problems as they come up using guile and judgment. I made a right dog's dinner of that one.
It's only one character.
It's just bad news, Adam. It's just bad news. Jump, you'll be fine. Yeah, so that's why it's difficult, because the human can go, right, well, we've got 3 trains coming up behind this one, and I want to slot them through different platforms, and so I'll switch which one they go onto each time. So there's more to it than meets the eye.
I've seen a question here. Can we potentially, I mean, this is not for a preserve crew, but can we potentially add the ability to skip stations in future, and that the system updates to recognize that? Basically, the way the routes play and the way it records your progress, it's significant amount of work there to get the system to suddenly skip something it was expecting to do. So it sounds easy on the surface, but that's actually tied deep into the way the game functions.
And this is all dispatcher-based stuff, right? So yeah. This is why it becomes complicated, is because the dispatcher is a weird, bizarre piece of something or other.
Where a human would be there in real life to be able to cope with that.
Okay, are we able to save groups of layers? We're back on the designer again. Can we save groups of layers in the future? That was most definitely on the desired list. We recognise that you'd like to be able to take small pieces of a design that you've put together and then make it portable to use elsewhere. I wonder what those small pieces of design could possibly be. I wonder if they are, in fact, copyright infringing logos and so forth that you'd like to stick on every single train you have. I wonder. In short, we know you want it. You know, it's on the list. We'll go into the Livery Designer kind of, I wouldn't even call it 2.0. It'll be like 1.2, something like that, when it's a little bit closer to release and exactly what's going on.
Matt just wants to copy pink to every train.
You can do that already, Matt. You just need hex code so you can get exactly the right pink. You're welcome. It's on the list. In fact, it's not even on the list. It's done, pretty much. I'm going to overshoot this one as well. No, I'll be fine. You'll be all right. Okay, good. What else we got going on? Well, I know it's not perfect, but could logic from Train Sim 2020 Dispatcher be used as the basis for Train Sim World 2 and improved upon?
So the same team behind that are the people who have developed Train Sim World 2. and many more very, very clever people have been involved. Like we say, we are developing a system that is basically replicating human and human decision, and doing things dynamically is very complicated. And sometimes, even the real world, they can't come up with systems that do this automatically, and a human needs to get involved. So we know what we can do to improve it, and we keep an eye on anything we can do to improve it going forward.
But I mean, the development of the dispatcher is like a living process, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It is. It's never not in development.
Yeah, even the Bakerloo line. So the things Matt's been doing with the Bakerloo line, and the thing that's on the roadmap, is us discovering there are more things that we need to do with the dispatcher, and more things the dispatcher needs to do.
Janet Dunk is saying, can we have a tick option that stops our liveries appearing in services? Again, it's on the list. So we're looking at what the new feature set for the Livery Designer is going to be when the 1.2, I'm calling it 1.2 now, that's official I suppose, when that rolls along. I'm not even calling it, 1.1 is what it would have been, 1.2 you see is with the extra bells and whistles that we're adding now. That's my logic anyway. I imagine programmers everywhere are now just screaming silently. But yeah, we'll have a full list of what is included, but that definitely is on the list as well. Yeah, there, good.
And it is a healthy list. It's very impressive.
Yeah. It is, yeah, it's a good length list. Has the dev team considered Australian content? So, okay, now, do you want to do this one? Matt gave me he gave a brilliant answer for this once, and I've stolen it. Do you want to go at it? Australian content, why not?
We've considered content from all over the world. We love all trains. I've got some particular interest in Japanese. But it's not just about making different trains. It's not just about making different routes. You have to understand how that system works. You have to understand that operation. You have to understand what the focus is of those railway systems. So other than the trees, there is an awful lot that you still need to investigate and learn and understand. And that's not just one person. You're talking a team of people with different disciplines.
Was that shots fired at the professor there? Yeah, I see. It's a good answer.
So it's
now,
not here's the
counter, right? Here's the counter that comes from the community. And the counter is, well, that's okay, because I am an engineer on the Australian Railroad. Not only that, but I can give you all the licenses you need because I own the entire company, and therefore there is now nothing to stop you making an Australian route. Here is the answer. Right? This is the answer that Matt gave, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Not because we don't want to do routes from elsewhere in the world. The routes that we want to do are, as you know, all the routes. Every one of them worldwide. Eventually, all of them we will do, including Australia. But the reason that we don't expand where we cover very often, in fact, our first expansions are coming up this year, is that once we've gone to the effort of firstly properly researching how all of the systems work and then creating the models to represent those in the game, and then creating the right environments to represent that country or region, we want to do it more than once. We don't just want to do a fire and forget on one and that's it. We want to do multiple. If we're going to go to the effort of building one, surely it would make more sense to actually build a couple out of it. So when we start looking at countries beyond the norm, will be once we've built up a good suite of the countries we've always focused on, because that's where we've got the greatest depth of knowledge. It's where we've got the most partnerships with real rail companies. So that's why we focus there first. But over time we will expand out, and we are doing already. We've got France on the list already. I know it's Europe again, but it's France. And we've got Switzerland coming as well, which might also be Europe.
We did also jump over the border for a very brief moment into Canada. I know people don't like Oakville subdivision being classed as North American.
No, they don't like it being classed as USA.
USA.
They're quite happy for it to be classed as North America, just not as USA. Quite rightly,
Yeah.
given that it's in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable. I saw another good question a moment ago, actually.
I mean, if you imagine, if you see what we have done over time with TS Classic, TS 2020, then that is the same approach that we want to take to the railways. Obviously, doing stuff in Train Sim World 2 is a lot more detail and it takes a lot more effort, but we have the same aspirations.
Could that be a possible way for more third parties to make more routes? Yes, absolutely. We welcome third parties to get in touch with our partnership team and to get stuck in. If we've got people that want to make Australian routes or Chinese routes or Dutch routes, routes from the Netherlands, very popular suggestion is the Netherlands. Get in touch, by all means. Equally, you know, if you're a coder and you've got a friend who's a capable modeler, and you've both got a bit of both train and experience with Unreal Engine, get in touch with the partnership team, call yourselves a micro studio, and they'll take your call. We're more than willing to work with very small studios who want to build something great for this game. That's a total given. Spain has been ignored in Train Sim. For many years, it has the biggest high-speed network after China. Is there a licensing thing with Spain? Do you know? If you don't know, it's fine. You don't have to know.
Well, I'm just thinking that we've done very little Spanish routes in Train Sim Classic either, so there may
that's
well
what
be
they're
a
referring
reason
to.
why.
It's like, you know, we barely touched it in Train Sim 2020.
Yeah. So there must be an issue. Because it's usually down to licensing that prevents us going to an area, especially as Sam said, that once we go to an area, we want to expand on it. We want to do lots in that area. We don't want to just jump into a route and then jump somewhere else and never go back again. So
yeah. Spain, why not? That's the question to ask internally there. I bet Mike doesn't know, but I bet Mike's written it down on a piece of paper right now to find out for me, because that's the kind of guy he is. Excellent. So we've had quite a few questions about Isle of Wight, and we have no information for you. Now, the reason that we have no information for you is twofold. First, it's being developed by Rivet Games. That won't stop us featuring it. It's more that at the moment, its progress is very much what they know rather than what we know. But more than that, when they're ready to talk about it in big, exciting fashion, they will talk about it in big, exciting fashion, and have your bells and your whistles and your swanky video, probably with some fat drum beats going on in there, and I don't know, some scratching, maybe I'll put some. I think that's appropriate to a quaint island railway line. Maybe not. That's why they don't let me choose the music.
I can say that I have had a little play, and it is really, really fun. It's really good. So yeah, I look forward to when that gets more attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to give it a go. Actually, it might only be a short route, but you know, that'll be good. What does screen percentage do? Screen percentage?
So imagine your screen is 100%.
Yes.
You know, the game fills the screen, it fills it 100%. If you want to render a bigger image, so you want it to be sharper, well, you need more pixels to do that. And if your screen's only a set size, so if you set it to 150%, then it will effectively render a bigger image by half of your monitor size, and then squash it back down into your monitor.
Just passing by said it's field of vision.
It's not field of vision. No, field of vision is how far degrees, how wide you can see, or
Fine.
telephoto into the distance.
Okay. All right.
So you can set it to 200%. Now you got to remember that 200% would be horizontal and vertical. So actually, at 200%, Matt may correct me, but I'm pretty sure that would be your screen would be 4 times larger. And then what the game is doing is pushing it back down into your monitor area, your screen. So it'd be 4 times sharper.
So you're telling me I can monkey around with the number of pixels that I'm shoving through my graphics card at any given moment, but I can't map a key to open the doors on the left-hand side?
It's not the Preserve Crew's remit, so that would have to go back to the.
Very good, Adam.
The
Nice
dev
deflection.
team.
You put that one on Matt. Lovely job. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, see, that's very good. Right, okay, right, doors, unlock some. I'd like to see the route I assign visually on the map when creating scenarios. Setting up an ICE, for example, and being diverted on slow lines in stations I'm not stopping at.
Sounds pretty good suggestion. Let's put it on the list. Of consideration.
Your list is going to get pretty flipping long, pretty flipping quickly.
Well, that's really the idea, isn't it? We take all the feedback and then we decide what we can do. We can stick stuff on the roadmap as investigation. If we then find that it's not reasonable to do, we can provide that feedback as well.
Okay, good. Someone else earlier on a similar idea with the scenario planner, which we're not working on yet. Now is the time to get your feedback in to make the big scenario planner list. Was doing shunting routes, whereby you're attaching and detaching as part of scenario planner. Now that is going to be a beefy old feature, that one, to put it into somewhat colloquial terms. Yeah, that is no small feature, but yes, absolutely. We know how much people really enjoy doing yard work and doing shunting and doing switching jobs and all of that kind of stuff. So absolutely, it's on the list already. But if you've got something specific you want to see in that regard, please head over to the forums, which are forums.dovetailgames.com. And in the, I think it's in the Creation Centre, please add your suggestion to the list there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Post on the forums. That is where we're garnering a lot of the list that we're creating.
Well, that's where we draw the lists from. So, you know, the benefit you have by putting your suggestions there is that it can be discussed and refined with other players, so that together you can work out actually what's the super thing we want. You might want to do a bit of shunting. They might want to do a bit of switching. They want to use banker or helper locos or something along those lines. And between you come up with the perfect design for what you want to see, or the dream scenario, let's say, for what you'd like to see.
The dream scenario.
The dream scenario planner. Huh? No.
The scenario dream planner. The scenario planner dream.
It's
going the wrong way there.
I'm moving on. We don't dwell on our own nonsense too much, Adam. We have to keep moving. Will we have different galley cabins and it's gone. Will there be variants for use in? I think that was a variance of locomotive question.
Yes, on the Peninsula Corridor there are double-deck gallery cars.
Yeah.
And then the Bombardier version are called bi-levels. So the Preserve Collection, no. The Preserve Collection, it is preserving what's already there. If it's anything majorly new, like new rolling stock, that is completely different. That would be for main release. That's not for the Preserve Crew.
Sure. So, I mean, as part of your remit, something we see come up regularly is, can we get some performance increases? Now, presumably, if we're talking about the engine overall and enhancing the way the overall engine works, that falls outside your command and conquer zone, right? But if we're talking about
the implementation, but it could well be that we end up feeding back where a number of pieces of content that have been fed back to us have some issues, and we end up linking them all together. So it could be that work that we set out to do ends up becoming a main development team thing.
So, well, what I was going to suggest is if there is somewhere that for pretty much every user, let's say I come round this corner now and I get a big fat frame rate drop, and it happens to be because there is an asset, whether it's a post box or one of Matt's trees, sat there in the background, that actually is far too weighty and that it's rendering and it's chugging my system. That's more along the lines of what you'll spot, right? What you'll look for.
Yes, exactly, yeah. We'll be looking at, is this something that particular content suffers from and can be improved upon?
Are we going to add another Amtrak route in the future? Obviously, Amtrak we're not bringing across any sea, which means that Amtrak is now absent, which is wrong and bad and shouldn't be permitted. So will we see Amtrak in the future? I would count on it. In what form that will take and when it will turn up, couldn't tell you. As ever, if it's not on the roadmap, it's not something that's in active development. Once it hits the roadmap, we're working on it. So yeah, we know that the Amtrak fans are feeling a little bit sad. Well, possibly justifiably sad, and are having to return to TSW 2020 in order to get an Amtrak fix or to train sim. But we know you want it, and therefore, that goes into a lot of considerations when we think about what routes we're doing next. Okay, good. I answered my own question again there, sorry. Next question. What's that? Well, I missed your question, Valentin. Hold on. I'm going to chance scrolling this.
Is that Terra Mouse says, in the scenario planner, will it be added that I can select how many locos I have and how many wagons? At the moment, there are no plans to do a consist editor or a train formation editor. But again, like Sam has said, some of these things, we know people want them. The scenario planner is developed as far as we have taken it so far. And yeah, it's on the desire list. But there are no plans to do train formation editing at this time.
Yeah, but it's a good one to get onto that main wish list, because it's exactly the kind of feature that would be most welcome within a scenario planner, as particularly if we decide to, upgrade it significantly. And that's going to come down to how much time Adam and his team get to play with, and what the feature wish list looks like. And actually, stuff like that, it might be easier than expected. It might be a lot more complicated than expected, but we need to get it listed so that we can register it as something people are definitely interested in using. What else? Would you say multiplayer could be possible in the far, far future? No. I would say multiplayer could be possible in the far future. I wouldn't go too fars on that one. I'd go single far. Look, making absolutely no promises about multiplayer, the conversation comes up every week inside the company as, multiplayer. When? What is it? When is it? Who is it? Why is it? And how is it? All of those things. We know that there is a large number of people who want multiplayer. We know we have promised it in the past, and it's something we want as well. So it's purely down to how complicated it is as a system, is why we've not already embarked on it. This would be a major game system multiplayer. Perhaps obviously, but it's worth saying nonetheless. This would be a big deal. So no, nothing to report, but it is something that we talk about on a very regular basis.
I see one from Crazy Dash. Says, how will the AC4400 tutorials be changed? Because that's listed as a fix on the roadmap right now. So effectively what we've done is remove the requirement to be in the multifunction display camera. So all the functionality of that tutorial is still there, but there was actually a check that you were in a particular camera, and there was actually no need for that check. So all we've done is turned off the requirement to be in the multifunction display camera.
Right. So it's basically going to stop tripping people up, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. David asks, can I use the locomotives from the old German route to the new German route and connect the old German route to the new German route? Yes and no. Can you use the old German locos on the new routes under Scenario Planner? Yes, you can. Can you connect the two routes together? No, you can't. Not unless you load up the second route and then don't look at the screen until it's loaded and mystically loads up the scenario that you want. So it's basically a no. No, they're not linked in any way at all, but yes, you can use whatever loco you please across those routes. Once they've been released, obviously. We haven't got everything preserved just yet, which is why they're on the roadmap. Will custom text be coming to the livery editor so we can do company names easier just by typing it in? What, so that you can infringe copyright with less hassle? Well, there's a thing. There's There's the thing. It's on the list. Multiple fonts and the ability to type in letters rather than having to drag them around one at a time is already on the list.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, we have to get licenses for any fonts we put in. So, we have to do a lot of work for something that does seem very trivial and very simple. There can be a lot of work behind the scenes sometimes.
Are there any licensing issues going to other EU countries, Italy, Spain and so forth? Or are we simply not willing to fully commit to starting on another country? We've got enough to do with the countries we already work on and with the licenses that we've got already before we start to think about, okay, where else could we go? So it's not a commitment issue. It's simply that routes from other countries aren't really on our to-do list yet.
But it is also a confirmation that we do commit when we invest in another country. So we don't see it as a quick thing. We will commit fully to getting licensed.
You know what you just said, though, don't you? You've just said, so rejoice, France fans, because one French route means many French routes.
Could well. One London Underground route.
I said, did you write it on a post-it note that you're not to overcommit?
I haven't committed to anything.
All right, okay. All right. Adam hasn't.
Because it's not my team that be developing
Look, if it's 3 years before they see another French route, Adam, who do you think they're going to blame? Won't be me.
Well, it'd be you because it's your stream.
It's not my stream. It's the Railfan TV stream, Adam.
That's true.
They'll be blaming you. Right, no, because no.
Well, I'm here every Tuesday to get blamed.
Yeah, flipping heck. Have we considered doing any part of the Oslo to Bergen line? It's simply stunning. There are many simply stunning lines. If you've got a line you desperately want to see, take it to the forum, and that is the last. Have you considered doing a route in XYZ that I'm going to answer this evening? The answer is always going to be the same. If there is a route that you want to see, please go and stick it on the suggestions forum. If there is already a thread on that topic, add to it. We look at the most popular threads in there to see which are the ones that people are most likely to want when we consider what we're making next. So that's the way to have your voice heard there. Otherwise, the answer is always going to be the same. No plans, not at the moment, and go and stick it on the forum. I apologise for being a little blunt, but that's how it is.
If it's not on the roadmap, we're not planning to do it.
This is a good one. I can answer this one as well. Sorry, Adam. If Forza Motorsport allows you to create company logos without issues, why can't TSW? The thing is, Forza operate on an unbranded basis. Their cars do not have copyright liveries when they first set off. If you've got a BMW M3, it's just red. Right, it's not Deutsche Bahn red. It's just red. Whereas we have a duty to protect the copyright, the licenses, the brands of the companies that we work with, and therefore we can't be infringing on brands that we haven't negotiated with, especially if BNSF they've already said no. That's just something we can't do, because then we get into trouble, you get into trouble, everyone gets into trouble. There's no fun there for anyone, which is why sharing is such a hellishly difficult concept when it comes to livery sharing.
One of the other... Go on, sorry.
No, carry on.
One of the questions for the livery editor, one of the pieces of feedback was, can you make the liveries that are shipped with that route or train available for editing? And while I'm not the person to decide if that's possible, I would imagine it's quite unlikely, because we have to get that livery approved. The licensor has to be accepting of it. So if we were to then go, hey, we're just going to let anybody mess with it, I think we might be in breach of our license agreement with that.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we can't offer base liveries that people are comfortable with you just monkeying with. Another good one that came out there was I think that's the question you just answered. Forget I said anything. I know it's impossible because everything, like I say, has such great meaning to it. Will there also be a function where you can skip the tutorial if you don't want to play the tutorial? Yeah, go back then forward again. That will do it. I know it's a hassle. Don't I've done it myself plenty of times, is it goes, welcome aboard this exciting new escape button, and then go
there
back
is
to
an
the main
option.
menu.
There is an option in settings that is on by default in TSW2, and it is automatic journey mode, I believe. If you turn that off, it will not simply go to the next scenario.
Automatic journey mode.
Yes, so
I
by
did
default,
not know about. Right, I'm going to disable that the second I'm out of this.
the game will take you through the sequence that we believe you'll most enjoy. But you can turn
look,
that off.
for new players, I get that. In fact, I was
Yeah.
one of the people that advocated such things when it came in the first place, based on player feedback from people who'd never played before. It was a fantastic way of introducing them to the game.
It's called the Sam requested this option, so I'm surprised you don't know it's there.
No. That's the players. The players who are new to the game desired a little bit more guidance when it came to what's the best way to get into the game, right?
Well,
But
also it means that you don't need
for
to keep loading
salty
back to the menu.
old experts out there. They want to be able to pick and choose and do the thing that they want to. Right, and given that I am a salty old expert, I shall be switching that flipping thing off. Brilliant for new players, not for me.
Yeah, I think it's in the gameplay options.
But that's great though, because I mean, if you were to go back a couple of years, we actually didn't have anything for new players at all. On which note, manuals. Yeah, no, I know manuals aren't your remit either.
They could be actually. Depends what the work is. It really
seriously,
does.
if you want to commit to that, we don't have sufficient manuals for the released version of TSW2. We've got a very good quick start guide, but that's the start, the middle, and the end. For example, nobody is taught how to turn the passenger lights on the ICE, because you've got to go into your multi-function display unit and press 5 a couple of times until something happens. It's not even.
I don't believe we do it on Bakerloo either.
It's not even a twiddly thing that you can go and fiddle with in the car. Well, Bakerloo is like there's only a finite number of switches. You'll get there eventually with the right combination. But yeah, manuals are all important for kind of easing people into the game. Anyway, on which note, that wraps it up. There's
only so much time.
Yeah, these roadmap streams are always going to be a little bit eclectic, and we welcome your questions, even though we won't get to all of them. And so we've undoubtedly missed some questions this evening, but if you want to submit some through the forum, we're there regularly, and we'll do our best to get you good answers. They might not be the answers you want, but they will be the answers that we have. So thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy the remainder of your Tuesday. I'm back on Thursday where we're doing Koblenz. Where does Koblenz go? Koblenz to what? It's the new TS 2020 route. Koblenz to...
Is that the Frankfurt version? Because we have done Koblenz in the past.
There you go. You reckon it's Frankfurt. I think you might be right. And that's me and Jamie are going to do that one. Then on Friday, I'm back because I'm finally being allowed to drive the Bakerloo line. And I've not done any practice at all, so it's going to be great.
Remember to turn on the passenger lights.
I will. I'll figure that out live on camera. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you again soon. Say goodbye, Adam.
Bye-bye, Adam.
Very good. I set you the line up and you make use of it. Very, very good.